The long-dormant Mummy franchise might finally be waking up, and with it comes renewed hope for the return of some very familiar faces. Over the past few months, conversations around a potential fourth Mummy film have quietly picked up steam, and now, Dwayne Johnson has added fuel to the fire with a major update about his iconic Scorpion King role. Back in November, reports surfaced, suggesting that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz were in early discussions to return as Rick and Evie O'Connell for a new sequel. Universal Pictures has stayed silent on the matter, but Fraser himself addressed the buzz in a recent interview. While keeping details under wraps, he made it clear that he is optimistic and very aware of how much the franchise still means to audiences who grew up with those films. That alone was enough to spark excitement, but fans had one more big question. What about The Rock? Dwayne Johnson made his big screen debut as Matthias, better known as the Scorpion King in The Mummy Returns. While the character began as a villain, the role launched Johnson into Hollywood superstardom and led to an entire spin-off franchise. Now, years later, Johnson has openly acknowledged that he would consider stepping back into that world. When asked directly about a possible return, Johnson did not shut the door. Instead, he emphasized that The Mummy is Brendan Fraser's franchise first and foremost, and expressed deep respect for his former co-star. He described Fraser as one of his biggest supporters and made it clear that any return would be rooted in loyalty to the people who built the series. Johnson also admitted that the Scorpion King role changed his life. It was his first film role and the foundation for everything that followed in his career. That personal connection matters, especially when discussing a franchise revival rather than a simple cameo. This is not the first time Johnson has explored returning to the character. In 2020, there was an attempt to reboot the Scorpion King as its own project, with Johnson involved behind the scenes rather than in front of the camera. At the time, scheduling conflicts prevented him from reprising the role directly, but he still spoke passionately about wanting to reintroduce the mythology to a new generation. That project never moved forward, but it showed that Johnson has never truly walked away from the character. His recent comments suggest that if the stars align and the story feels right, he would be open to returning in some capacity. So where does this leave The Mummy 4? At the moment, nothing is officially confirmed. There is no director announcement, no release window, and no formal casting news. However, the tone around the project has clearly shifted. Multiple cast members are openly discussing the possibility, and studios do not usually allow that kind of public optimism unless something real is happening behind the scenes. A fourth Mummy film would likely focus on bringing back the heart of the franchise, Rick and Evie, their family, and the sense of adventure that defined the original trilogy. If The Rock were to return even briefly, it would serve as a powerful bridge between the core Mummy films and the larger universe they inspired. For fans, this is less about spectacle and more about legacy. The Mummy films were never just monster movies. They were adventurous, funny, and emotional in a way that still resonates today. Seeing those characters return, with the blessing and enthusiasm of the actors who made them iconic, feels like the right move. Nothing is guaranteed yet, but for the first time in years, the idea of The Mummy 4 feels genuinely alive. And if that phone call ever comes for the Scorpion King, Dwayne Johnson has made it clear that he would at least pick up. Would you like to see The Rock return as the Scorpion King in The Mummy 4, or should the franchise focus only on the O'Connells? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this update, follow the channel for more movie news and franchise deep dives coming your way.